Could you ever imagine putting down a wager of $1 million on a game of rock, paper, scissors? Or what about betting your house on a single roulette spin? It's crazy, right? Well, these high-stake gamblers actually went through with it, and trust me, you're not going to believe some of these. Coming in at number 11, we've got a $500,000 stake on a coin flip. Poker pro Antonio Esfandiari and film producer, author and poker player Bill Perkins bet $500,000 on a game of heads or tails. Antonio won the flip by pure chance, and I wouldn't have wanted to be in Bill's shoes that night. Number 10 is a man in the spotlight who's made a name for himself for always losing bets, to the point that people bet against whatever he's wagered on because of the curse. It's of course the rapper Drake. Now, Drake's betting habits have become a little bit of a social media phenomenon, wagering on multiple different sports including MMA, NFL, boxing and ice hockey. Drake has been taunted for years by sports fans for bringing bad luck to their teams, and it all stems from sports teams or athletes having a poor result in the next match after having an interaction with Drake. And to back up the internet claims, there's usually a picture of Drake posing alongside the team athlete or even just wearing the team's jersey. Apparently, football squads have even been banned from posting selfies with Drake, and he's been blamed for big losses by Anthony Joshua, Serena Williams and Conor McGregor. Drake undoubtedly enjoys gambling, but he hasn't had too much success, although that hasn't stopped him from putting down six-figure wagers. Some of his biggest losses include $2 million betting on UFC's Israel Adesanya to win against Alex Pereira, $275,000 betting against Colby Covington, and another $200,000 betting against Leon Edwards. But it doesn't stop there. He lost a further £335,000 on Jake Paul to knock Tommy Fury out, $500,000 that NHL side, the Edmonton Oilers, would win the Stanley Cup, $500,000 that the Dallas Mavericks would win the NBA Finals, $565,000 that Tyson Fury would defeat Alexander Usyk, and $615,000 on Francis Ngannou to defeat Anthony Joshua. It's not all been bad though. Drake's largest single win came from a $2.2 million bet on UFC's Paddy Pimblett and Molly McCann, which he celebrated by buying them both Rolex watches. And he won another $1 million from an NBA bet on the Denver Nuggets versus Miami Heat, and $850,000 predicting that the Miami Heat would only win one game in the series. He's also won a massive $2.36 million from a $309,000 accumulator stake, wagering on the NBA's Dallas Mavericks and two ice hockey teams, the Calgary Flames and the New York Rangers. Coming in at number 9, Bill Perkins strikes again with another really bizarre bet. He wagered $300,000 that poker player Jeff Gross couldn't survive 30 days living in an airport. Jeff Gross did in fact complete this challenge and lived inside an airport for a full month. Needless to say, he pocketed the $300,000 and has a very good story to tell around the dinner table. At number 8, in 2004, Ashley Revell sold everything he owned, including his house, to place a single bet on a roulette wheel. The English entrepreneur put $135,000 all on red. The wheel spun, and what happened? Well, he doubled his money to $270,000. Coming in at number 7, we've got boxing legend Floyd "Money" Mayweather, who's no stranger to big bets. In 2013, Mayweather reportedly wagered $5.9 million on the Miami Heat to win Game 7 of the NBA Eastern Conference Finals against the Indiana Pacers. The Heat pulled through, and so did Mayweather's wallet, and he cashed in big time. At number 6, we have Japanese businessman Takashi Hashiyama, and he couldn't decide which auction house should handle the sale of his collection, which included works by Picasso, Vincent van Gogh, and an estimated for around $20 million. So, how did he choose between Sotheby's and Christie's? Well, by playing rock, paper, scissors. Christie's decided to think about their strategy, and they asked a pair of 11-year-old twins for advice. And you might be thinking, why 11-year-olds? Well, they thought, who would know playground games inside and out? Well, it's children. The twins said that in rock, paper, scissors, people generally start the game with rock, So they suggested that Christie's started the game with scissors, as they expected their opponents to anticipate rock and start with paper. And what happened? Well, Christie's chose scissors, as the twins had suggested, and Sotheby's went with paper. A victorious Christie's secured the right to auction off the art collection, which eventually sold for over $20 million. Now, number 5 comes with a little bit of hindsight. Back in 1989, a man from Wales popped into his local bookies and put a wager on things staying the same until the year 2000. He bet that TV shows, EastEnders, Neighbours and Home and Away would still be on air. He gambled that U2 would still be together and performing, and he also placed a bet that Cliff Richard would be knighted. He was given odds of 6,479 to 1 on a £30 bet. 11 years later, he collected his winnings of £194,000 on such a bizarrely particular bet. At number 4, we have legendary gambler and high roller Archie Karas. Now, he is the man behind the largest and longest winning streak in casino history. In 1992, he drove to Vegas with just $50 in his pocket and turned it into $40 million by the beginning of 1995. Archie's hot streak is the stuff of legend, and during this run, he bet $1 million on a single roll of the dice in Las Vegas casino, and he won. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, so how did he turn $50 into $40 million? Well, Archie has a talent for poker and pool, and he wasn't shy to make high-stake bets. With $50 in his pocket, Archie borrowed $10,000 to start playing poker. Within a few hours, he'd turned that into $30,000. He started to really thrive in heads-up poker, playing against some of the biggest names in the poker world like Stu Ungar, Chip Reese, and Doyle Brunson. He was betting hundreds of thousands in single games and making millions in return. Before turning his attention to poker, Archie was involved in high-stakes pool matches, sometimes playing for $40,000 per game, and this helped him build an early bankroll. Now, where he made most of his crazy bets was in dice. He would bet anywhere from $100,000 to $300,000, and of course his biggest wager of $1 million on a single roll of dice. See, stuff of legend. Coming in at number 3 is one bet you definitely don't want to try yourself. Once again, billionaire Bill Perkins challenged poker star Dan Bilzerian to cycle from LA to Vegas, a mammoth 300-mile bike ride in just 48 hours for an incredible $600,000. With no time to prepare, Dan accepted this insane bet, and guess what? Against all the odds, he pulled it off. Bilzerian biked the entire distance and wheeled away with a full $600,000. At number 2, we're going back just before the 2005-2006 football season. Adrian Hayward thought there was a good chance that Liverpool midfielder Xabi Alonso would score from inside his own half at some point during the campaign. He managed to get himself odds of 250 to 1, and he put a stake of £200 down. Just a few months later, during Liverpool's FA Cup third-round tie with Luton, what did Alonso do? He scored from his own half. Adrian bagged £25,000, and guess what? Alonso did it again against Newcastle in September of the following season. And lastly, ending on an incredible prediction. In 1998, Richard Hopkins took his 13-year-old son, Evan, to race go-karts. While he was at the track, he watched another young driver in the race, and he was so impressed, he joked about putting a bet on him winning an F1 race in the future. After some careful thinking, he placed £200 on the young lad to win an F1 race by the time he was 23 at odds over 200 to 1. Another £100 that he'd be a world champion by 25 at 500 to 1. And a third £50 wager that he'd achieve both goals at odds of 1,500 to 1. Can you guess who the young racer was? Of course, it was Lewis Hamilton. And when Lewis won his first world championship at 23, Richard Hopkins cashed in over $165,000 in winnings. What's the craziest bet you've ever heard of? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure to head over to our site first.com, and our experts can guide you to the best online casinos and sports betting sites.